Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiri Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, third chapter, pure devotional service, the change in heart, text number 22. So these are the verses spoken by Saunaka Rishi to Sut Goswami, and basically he's getting serious about people who don't listen to Harikatha. Barhayite te naine naranam lingani vishnorna nirikshito ye Pado nrinam to drum janma bhajo kshetrani nanu vrajato hariryo. The eyes which do not look at the symbolic representations of the personality of Godhead, Vishnu, his form, names, quality, etc., are like those printed on the plumes of the peacock. And the legs which do not move to the holy places where the Lord is remembered are considered to be like tree trunks. Especially for the householder devotees, the path of deity worship is strongly recommended. As far as possible, every householder, by the direction of the spiritual master, must install the deity of Vishnu, forms like Radha, or any other form of the Lord, like Narsimha, Varaha, Gaurnitai, Matsya, Kurma, Shaligram Shila, and many other forms of Vishnu like Trivikram, Keshav, Achyut, Vasudev, Narayan, and Damodar, as recommended in the Vaishnav Tantras of Puranas, and one's family should worship strictly following the directions and regulations of Archana Vidhi. Any member of the family who is about 12 years of age should be initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, and all the members of the household should be engaged in daily service of the Lord, beginning from morning, 4 a.m., even if it is cold, that I added, till night, 10 p.m. by performing Mangla Artik, Nirajan, Nirajan, Archana, Puja, Kirtan, Shringar, Bhog Vaikali, Sandhya Aratvik, Path, Bhoga at night, Shayan Artvik, etc. Engagement in such worship of the deity under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master will greatly help the householders to purify their very existence and make rapid progress in spiritual knowledge. Simple theoretical book knowledge is not sufficient for a neophyte devotee. Book knowledge is theoretical, whereas the archana process is practical. Spiritual knowledge must be developed by a combination of theoretical and practical knowledge, and that is a guaranteed way for attainment of spiritual perfection. The training of devotional service for a neophyte devotee completely depends on the expert, a spiritual master who knows how to lead his disciple to make gradual progress towards the path back home, back to Godhead. One should not become a pseudo spiritual master as a matter of business to meet one's family expenditure. One must be an expert spiritual master to deliver the disciple from the clutches of impending death. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has defined the bona fide qualities of a spiritual master, and one of the verses in that description reads, okay, so before we go further, so Prabhupada said every grihastha devotee should have these deities at home and they should perform the deity worship at home. And the way Prabhupada is saying it looks like it's even more strict than in the temple. Because in the temple, at least, there is a team of pujaris and people who are doing the cooking and cleaning and this and that, whole 9 yards. Of course, this is an ideal situation, but we have to see whatever we can do practically, whatever is possible. Because even Prabhupada, his own father, when his father would, of course, they had the deities at home and they would worship them very nicely. But father would go to a shop and then he would do aarti and then come back, do aarti again. And mother would be preparing bhoga for the deities. But it wasn't like what Prabhupada has written here, that his even father was following. He was following to great extent. So the idea is to whatever extent we can, we should. To understand when the deities are at home, one thing we have to understand that actually everything belongs to the deity, belongs to Krishna. So the deities, when they are at home, we have to um, make sure we get into the consciousness that the house actually belongs to the deities. So we are basically servants of the deities. So we are. That's why we call them Thakurji. Thakurji means the master, the Lord, the owner. So when they are at home, of course, we are supposed to serve them and understand this is their house, and we are here to serve them. We are here to keep the house clean because it's their house, cook for them because it's for them. So everything has to be centered around the deities. Then that life is obviously the perfect life. But at the same time, we have to try to do everything as far as practical. Like there is a devotee, very wonderful devotee, very nice, very humble, very sincere, very determined. But if if Mataji, she's a Mataji, it's a Mataji, and if you're gonna get so serious about the deity worship at home that you're gonna cook for them at 2 a.m., then that brings uh, problem in the family. That creates problem in the family. So, so we don't have to go to that extent. So as far as practical, one has to see his or her situation. So whatever we can do, whatever is practical, we do it without creating too much problems at home. So one has to be aware of that. Because if a person, if a devotee, and normally not everybody is a devotee in the family, if a devotee is taking care of the deities, but the other people of the family or members of the family are getting annoyed by that, by too much overdoing the service, then it's not good in the household. It creates so much of negative atmosphere, and obviously deities will not like it. So one has to see whatever is going to be. Slowly, and if all the members are getting the deities prasadam, they will change. It's a matter of very slow process. So one has to be practical. That's all. Shri Vigraha is a archa or suitable worshipable form of the Lord, and the disciple should be engaged in worshipping the deity regularly, also by mantra margin. The matter of cleansing the temple. The spiritual master teaches a neophyte devotee all these kindly and personally to help him gradually in the realization of the transcendental name, quality, form, etc. of the Lord. Only attention engaged in the service of the Lord, especially in dressing and decorating the temple, accompanied by musical kirtan and spiritual instructions from scriptures, can save the common man from the hellish cinema attractions and rubbish sex songs broadcast everywhere by radios. If one is unable to maintain a temple at home, he should go to another's temple where all the above performances are regularly executed. Visiting the temple of a devotee and looking at the profusely decorated forms of the Lord, well dressed in a well decorated, sanctified temple, naturally infuse a mundane mind with spiritual inspiration. People should visit holy places like Vrindavan, where such temples and worship of the deity are specifically maintained. Formerly, all rich men, like kings and rich merchants, constructed such temples under the direction of expert devotees of the Lord, like the six Goswamis, and it's the duty of the common man to take advantage of these temples and festivals observed in the holy places of pilgrimage by following in the footsteps of great devotees, Anuvraja. So this is the idea that one should either have the deities at home, or if he cannot, or to whatever extent he can serve, he should also visit a temple, see the beautiful deities, how they're being served, how they're being dressed, and appreciate. Because obviously, deities, they capture our eyes, they capture our hearts more than anybody else. So the legs are there to go to the temples. One should not visit all these sanctified pilgrimage places and temples with sightseeing in mind, but one must go to such temples and sanctified places immortalized by the transcendental pastimes of the Lord and be guided by proper men who know the science. And of course, it is also said in Bhagavatam only later on in like I think 12th canto, it says that one who goes to the holy place of pilgrimage just to take bath in pure water or in a river there, it's like cow or ass. Actually, the idea behind going to a holy place is to listen to a sadhu. One should be able to get some message from a sadhu because so many sadhus are living in holy places. And one should render some service and get some message. And that is going to change one's life. It is therefore best to follow the instructions of bona fide spiritual master, even in visiting temples and the holy places of pilgrimage. One who does not move in that way is as good as a standing tree condemned by the Lord not to move. The moving tendency of the human beings is misused by visiting places for sightseeing. The best purpose of such traveling tendencies could be fulfilled by visiting the holy places established by great acharyas and therefore not being misled by the atheistic propaganda of money making men who have no knowledge of spiritual matters. Of course, the best idea is to go to holy places or go to temples and to listen to some sadhus, some devotees, some spiritual person. But since not everybody would be at the same level of advancement, so that's why I mean, Ashok Prabhu used to organize these wonderful tours. So we used to make sure it has both sightseeing and deity darshan and katha and kirtan and wonderful prasadam and sea bathing or river bathing. I mean, everything was in it. It was like whole package. So, so just to make sure that everybody comes back for the next trip. So otherwise they wouldn't come back. So it used to be a whole package, and it was wonderful. So I think now since this Latmar Holi in Barsana is coming up, so Ashok Prabhu and Radha Prabhu can organize a trip for all these devotees, wonderful devotees, to go there and enjoy. Hare Krishna. So the legs are supposed to be used to move to such places of pilgrimage or the temples. That's what the idea of having the legs. In fact, in Ludhiana, I know because with Narhari Prabhu, we used to lead Kirtan and Ludhiana and Gurgaon also. So we used to announce before the Kirtan that if a person who doesn't raise his hands in Kirtan and who doesn't dance, then means he will get the next body like a tree because he's not using his legs or hands in the Kirtan. So, so people would at least get scared and they would at least dance, little bit dance in the Kirtan. So dancing is very much required in the kirtan. So that's what the legs and hands are given to us for. So we should use that in kirtan. Text 23. Jivan chavo bhagatanghirenu na jatu martya bhilabhet yastu Shri Vishnu padya manujastulasya shvasan chavo yastu na veda gandham. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. Why? Saunaka Rishi is getting very strict here, heavy. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the breathing dead body is a ghost. Wow. When a man dies, he is called dead. But when he again appears in a subtle form, not visible to a present vision, and yet acts, such a dead body is called a ghost. Ghosts are always very bad elements, always creating a fearful situation for others. Similarly, the ghost-like non-devotees who have no respect for the pure devotees, nor for the Vishnu deity in the temples, create a fearful situation for the devotees at all times. The Lord never accepts any offering by such impure ghosts. There is a common saying that one should first love the dog of the beloved before one shows any loving sentiments for the beloved. The stage of pure devotion is attained by sincerely serving a pure devotee of the Lord. The first condition of devotional service to the Lord is therefore to be a servant of a pure devotee. And this condition is fulfilled by the statement, reception of the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee who has also served in the pure devotee. That is a way of pure disciplic succession or devotional parampara. So, taking the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee, of course, literally it also means that, but it also means taking the instructions of a pure devotee of the Lord. Maharaj Rahugana inquired from the great sage Jad Bharat as to how he had attained such a liberated stage of Paramhansa. And in the answer, the great saint replied as follows: O King Rahugana, the perfectional stage of devotional service or the Paramhansa stage of life cannot be attained unless one is blessed by the dust of the feet of great devotees. It's never attained by tapasya, the Vedic worshipping process, acceptance of the renounced order of life, the discharge of the duties of household life, the chanting of the Vedic hymns, or the performance of penances in the hot sun, within cold water, or before the blazing fire. Means this Paramhansa stage, the stage which Jad Bharat had attained, is only attained when one is blessed by the dust of the feet of great devotees. Means one is blessed by the instructions, when one follows the instructions. In other words, Lord Shri Krishna is a property of his pure, unconditional devotees. And as such, only the devotees can deliver Krishna to another devotee. Krishna is never obtainable directly. Lord Chaitanya therefore designated himself as Gopi Bhartu Padakam Leor Das Das and Das, or the most obedient servant of the servants of the Lord, who maintains the Gopi damsels at Vrindavan. A pure devotee therefore never approaches the Lord directly, but tries to please the servant of the Lord's servants. And thus the Lord becomes pleased, and only then can the devotee relish the taste of the tulsi leaves stuck to his lotus feet. So the idea is not to approach the Lord directly. One has to go in the parampara, go through Guru, bona fide Guru, and his Guru, and his Guru. And in that way, actually, he gets more mercy, by mercy of all these acharyas. And then the path or um, the distance to the Lord becomes very little. It becomes very easily obtainable. Like Krishna also says, he tells to Arjun in one of the scriptures, it is Krishna says, one who says he's my devotee is not my devotee. One who says he's a devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. So means the path to Krishna is through the mercy of all these devotees, all the gurus, all the acharyas in the parampara. In Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord is never to be found by becoming a great scholar of the Vedic literatures, but he is very easily approachable through his pure devotee. In Vrindavan, all the pure devotees pray for the mercy of Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. Srimati Radharani is a tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole, resembling the perfectional stage of the worldly feminine nature. Therefore, the mercy of Radharani is available very readily to the sincere devotees. And once she recommends such a devotee to Lord Krishna, the Lord at once accepts the devotee's admittance into his association. Conclusion is therefore that one should be more serious about seeking the mercy of the devotee than that of the Lord directly, and by once doing so, by the goodwill of the devotee, the natural attraction for the service of the Lord will be revived. So that is the reason Krishna continuously sends his devotees around to reclaim the conditioned souls back. And devotees, it is said, they are more merciful than Krishna because they know the purpose of Krishna, they know the heart of Krishna, they know the desires of Krishna. So they give this mercy to others so that others steadily and readily they can come and come to the process of devotion service, take up the process, take up the path. And here look at Srimati Radharani's position. All the devotees actually they pray for mercy of Srimati Radharani. And who is she? She's a tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole. So tender-hearted. She's very soft-hearted. And she is very easily pleased. And when she recommends a devotee to Krishna, Krishna cannot say no to that person. So she's like Prabhupada saying, she's a pleasure potency. She's a personification of pleasure potency. Means any pleasure that we receive in the material world or in the spiritual world, any pleasure is actually mercy of Radharani. So if it is a material pleasure, it's a perverted mercy. If it is a spiritual pleasure, it is a real mercy. So any pleasure that we receive that we experience in the spiritual life, be it chanting, be it association of devotees, be it in my service, be it in reading, be it in taking trips to the temple or to Vrindavan or to any other place, that pleasure is actually coming from Srimati Radharani. Because she is the pleasure potency of Krishna. And she is very tender-hearted, she's very compassionate, and she's very merciful. And she is ready to accept anybody and admit that person, that devotee, in the service of Krishna. Only thing is we have to approach her properly with the right mood. That's all. Tad shamsaram hridayam batedam yad grihimane harinam dheya na vikriyetat yada vikaru netre jalam gatra ruheshu harisha. Certainly that heart is steel frame which, in spite of one's chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration, does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes and the hairs stand on end. So let's see how strong our heart is. If it doesn't change when we chant the holy name of the Lord, of course, first of all, here the condition is with concentration. That is another problem. We don't have attention, we don't have concentration when we are chanting. And even if we do, if the heart does not change, does not melt, then it is a steel framed heart. Of course, steel framed is ashma saram, ashma saram. This is how Prabhupada is translated, but it can also mean that the heart is made of steel. It's not even steel framed. It is made of steel. And one place it is said it is pashan hridaya. Pashan means a strong rock. Heart is like a strong rock, very solid rock. If it doesn't melt by chanting of the holy names. We should note with profit that in the first three chapters of second canto, a gradual process of development of devotional service is being presented. In the first chapter, the first step in devotional service for God consciousness, by the process of hearing and chanting, has been stressed, and a gross conception of the personality of Godhead in its universal form for the beginners is recommended. By such a gross conception of God through the material manifestations of the energy, one is enabled to spiritualize the mind and the senses and gradually concentrate the mind upon Lord Vishnu, the Supreme, who is present as a super soul in every heart and everywhere, in every atom of the material universe. The system of Panchupasana is recommended. So I'm running out of time, so I'm going to fast forward. The whole process of spiritual culture is aimed at changing the heart of the living being in the matter of his eternal relation with the Supreme Lord as a subordinate servant, which is his eternal constitutional position. So, with the progress of devotional service, the reaction of change in the heart is exhibited by gradual detachment from the sense of material enjoyment, by a false sense of lording it over the world, and an increase in the attitude of rendering loving service to the Lord. So this is a change in the heart. Means there should be less and less attachment or attraction towards material world and more towards Krishna. Krishna, Krishna's name, Krishna's service. That's where the change of heart takes place. It is expected by all means that by discharging regulated devotional service, one must manifest the change of heart. If there is no change, the heart must be considered steel framed, for it is not melted, even when there is chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Of course, this is also, as I again and again said, there is no competition in devotion service. Everybody is at a different stage. Everybody is making progress at his or her own pace, and everybody will attain Krishna's prema at his or her own time. There is no competition. There is only service. There's no question of any competition, and even further competition, it takes us to enviousness. So there is no question, there is no place, there is no space for anything like that. Everybody is making progress, and everybody will. There's no doubt about that. But enviousness makes us commit offenses, and then the progress stops. That's all it is. So Prabhupada has written wonderful purport to this one. So everybody, I would request everybody, please read it at your time, especially this verses purport. It's very nicely written. Last line is a complete progressive march on the written path home back to Godhead will depend on the instructions of the revealed scriptures directed by a realized devotee. So one has to follow a realized devotee, and one has to follow sincerely, patiently, and with determination. Only one thing I want to add is, although the heart, here the shloka says it is steel-framed heart, or the heart made of steel. So with devotional service, our heart actually, it should become soft. It should become soft as like a butter. Because Krishna is known as Makhan Chor, so he can steal our butter like heart. So that's how our heart should become. So I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. So I guess everybody's agreeing. So we'll stop here. You please go over this purport 2, 3, 25 today. It's very nicely written. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.